informal uses of it. And then underneath your objectives is I want you to answer this question. Remember the last, you don't have to see this, I'm going to say it for you. Remember the last disagreement you had with a friend or family member. Were you able to convince the person of your point of view? Do you think you might have gotten a better outcome if you had structured your arguments differently? Okay, so, all right. So now what I want you to do is to think of everything that comes to mind when you think of the word argument. Think of everything that comes to mind.
A lot of cussing.
A lot of cussing words. What else comes to mind when you think of an argument? Militia? Fight. Okay, those two seem to go hand in hand, militia and fun.
Mayweather.
What else? Mayweather. What else do we think of when we think of an argument? So right now we're focusing on what's called the connotation. Does anyone know what a connotation is? Heard the word before?
Like the main idea, basically.
Almost. It's the main idea according to you.
This situation.
Can we stop having our private conversation?
Is it the main idea based on the situation?
Closer. That's a lot closer to it. So anyone else? Connotation? Okay, so the connotation of a word, the connotation of a word is basically your definition of the word. So it's basically kind of like both of Liddell's definitions put together. It's the main idea of a word based on the situation that you notice that word relating to. So it's your association of the word. It's not necessarily the dictionary definition of a word, but it's how you relate to the word. Okay, so if I say the word, let's see. Well, argument. If I say the word argument, you're going to have a certain definition to the word based on how you perceive it and how you've seen it in action. Then someone else is going to have a certain definition or connotation to that word, different from what I may have a definition for when it comes to that word. So we said the connotations to an argument are what? We said a fight, we said anger, what else? Angel, let's put that away.
You say stuff he don't mean. You say stuff he don't mean.
Okay, you say things that you don't mean. What else? When we think of an argument, come on, what do we think of? Our moms. Okay, so we think, so I think I want you to go further with that. Are we saying that females are argumentative?
Yes.
Okay, so we said that females are, do we agree or disagree with that? So that's a claim that was thrown out there. Disagree? Okay.
She ain't disagree because she a girl.
When we think of arguments, we think of our moms. And so I needed him to explain further. So I said, do you mean that females are argumentative? And he said, bingo. So do we agree or disagree with that?
I agree.
Okay. Hold on. Let's take a vote first. Do we agree that females are argumentative? Hands in the air. Females are argumentative. I'm not voting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm just putting the examples. We have 5 people.
6.
Who disagrees that females are argumentative? Who disagrees? 1, 2, 3.
You wasn't even gonna raise your hand, Chanel.
4. Okay, it's 4 against 5. Some people didn't vote.
Can I tell you something?
Go.
Okay, so you know how you said we think about our moms when we argue? I was thinking that you was talking about when we argue, we be steaming on each other's moms and stuff.
Okay, so that was your connotation about what he had said. Okay, that was your meaning on what he had said, and that's why I had him to elaborate further on that, because it's like, what exactly do you mean? That can be taken a couple of different ways. So now, let me provide you with this. All right, so let's look at this video, and I want you to tell me, is this an argument? Is this closer to your argument, your definition of an argument?
You just said our enemies in Iraq. Did Iraq attack us?
No, I'm saying Al Qaeda.
Okay, did Iraq attack us, Elizabeth?
Iraq did not attack us,
Correct.
Rosie. We've been there before. I'm saying our enemies, Al Qaeda. Are you hearing that?
Oh, I hear it, but where do you want to go, Bob? We're going to political discussion. Don't interview each other. Just
If you're playing a game, okay? If you're playing a game, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to throw to my wide receiver, wide right, okay? Do you do that? I'm going to do it in 2 seconds. What does that do for your enemy?
Well, you know what, Elizabeth? If the enemy are innocent civilians, I don't want to play that kind of football.
The enemy are not enemy.
Iraq didn't attack us.
I'm not saying enemy. Tell the enemy, brother. Enemy. Please, let's have a conversation.
You know what? I don't want to do this strike. No, let me tell you why I don't want to do it. Because here's how it gets spun in the media. Rosie, big, fat, lesbian, loud Rosie, attacks innocent, pure Christian Elizabeth. And I'm not doing it.
I haven't heard that line. Listen, I think
You should watch some of the shows that, you don't watch.
You accused me of watching all of those shows yesterday.
I'm okay arguing with Elizabeth. You're just as sensitive when I'm hurt as I am when you were.
Yes.
Every time you've been hurt, did I reach out to you? Personal, there's a war going on out there. That's why I like watching Dancing with the Stars. Exactly why.
I just don't understand why it's my fault if people spin words that you put out there or phrases that suggest things. And I gave you an opportunity 2 days ago to clarify the statement that got you in trouble on all those years. I did that as a
That
friend.
got me in trouble. As a friend, you gave me the opportunity. That was very,
Why don't you
that was very
clarify
sweet
that?
of you. What I was asking is you, who
Yes.
actually knows me.
Yes.
Do you believe I think our troops are terrorists, Elizabeth?
I
Yes
think that you.
or
I don't
Do
think
you
that
believe that? Yes or no?
Excuse me. Let me speak.
You're going to double
Okay.
speak. It's just a yes
I'm
or
not
a no.
I am not a double speaker, and I don't put suggestions out there that lead people to think things and then not answer my own question.
I had a
Okay?
question to you, and you didn't
I
answer.
don't believe that you believe troops are terrorists. I have said that before. But when you say something like 650,000 Iraqis are dead,
It's
we
true.
invaded them. Let me finish.
You don't like
Who
the
are
facts.
terrorists? I am all about facts. You know that. You tell me not to use facts because you want me to go only on emotion. Guess what? I like facts.
I know,
like
but
that.
you only are the ones you like. You cherry
What
pick.
am I doing right? I don't cherry pick.
Did I not give this panel a list of facts?
And you know what? Oh my gosh, we're gonna be right back with Alicia Silverstone.
No, we're not. No, because we have a lot more time.
If you want to change the subject, I was just opening. People were criticizing you for saying that because it suggested something, okay? So I said, look, take your opportunity now. You have a show right now.
I
Tell
didn't
the
want
world
to take
what you
my
really think.
opportunity to tell the world. I wanted to know what people like you, but you are my friend since September.
Yeah.
Do you believe that I think our troops are terrorists?
I
And
do.
you would not even look me in the face, Elizabeth, and
What
say,
are you talking
no,
about?
Rosie, I can understand how
I am
people
too.
might have thought that. Why don't you take this opportunity like I'm 6?
Because you are an adult and I am certainly
So are
not
you.
going to be the person for you to explain your thoughts. They're your thoughts. Defend your own insinuations.
I defend my thoughts.
Defend your own thoughts.
Right, but every time I defend him, Elizabeth, it's poor little Elizabeth that I'm picking on.
You know what? Poor little Elizabeth is not poor little Elizabeth.
That's right. That's why I'm not going to fight with you anymore because it's absurd. So for 3 weeks you can say all the Republican crap you want. I'm not going to do
It's much
it.
easier to fight someone like Donald Trump, isn't it? Because he's obnoxious.
I've never fought him. He fought me. I told a fact about him. He didn't like this conversation.
I was in the middle of this conversation. Opportunity.
You don't give me anything. You don't have to give me. I asked you a question.
Let me ask you a question.
You didn't answer it.
Answer your own question.
Oh, Elizabeth, I don't want. You know what? You really don't understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. That's it. I think it's sad because I don't understand how there can be such hurt feelings when all I did was say, look, why don't you tell everybody what you said? I did that as a
All you
friend.
did is not defend me. I I asked you if you believed that I
You
thought
answered
that
your own question. I don't believe that your suggestion was right.
Since September,
Yes.
I have told you I support
I
the
have done the
truth.
same for you.
I asked you if you believed what the Republican pundits were saying.
Yes.
You said nothing, and that's
No,
cowardly.
no.
Nothing.
That isn't. Do not call me a coward because number one, I sit here every single day,
So do
open my
I.
heart, and tell people exactly what I believe.
So do I,
Do
Elizabeth.
not call me a coward, Rosie.
It was
I do
cowardly
not hide.
yesterday.
It was not cowardly. It was honest.
It
It is cowardly.
Is there no commercial in this show?
I'll tell you what's cowardly. No. Asking a rhetorical question that you never answer yourself. That is cowardly.
Okay. So, does that come close to anyone's definition of an argument?
Mm-hmm.
That's beyond argument.
Yeah, cause she.
Okay, let's see some hands. Does that come close to anyone's definition of an argument? Okay, Melisha, how does that come close to your definition of an argument? Okay, because you said you're arguing. So what there gives you the impression that they're arguing? I want you to now give me some. Because they're yelling. So we think that arguing involves yelling. Okay? So I'm just going off of the connotations we said. We said fighting, and we said, I forgot the other ones that I should have written them down.
Yeah.
Stuff you.
And did we say yelling before? Okay.
We said mamas.
Hmm?
We said mamas.
We said mamas. So you said because they're yelling. What else? What else? If that comes close to your definition of an argument, what stood out to make that seem like an argument? When she started crying at the end, okay, we think that emotions being involved is. So we think that emotions getting involved is very indicative of the definition of an argument. What else? Anything else? What in that video showed us that was close to our definition of an argument? Angel, you should put that away, I said.
Facial expression.
Facial expression. Okay, so there's a certain, so what you're saying to me is that there's a certain emotion that goes into arguing. Okay, there's a certain volume as far as our voices, a certain voice volume that is supposed to be carried out when arguing. Okay? Then there are certain gestures and body language that's supposed to go into it. Okay? So what would you say if I told you you were describing more of a feud? What if I told you you were describing more of a feud? All right, so now we go to a feud. And what does it say that a feud is? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think what you're describing is a feud. You're describing a feud which could involve some of the technicalities that we see in an argument, but I think overall we get the two confused when it comes to our connotation because of how we experience it. I think we get the two confused, an argument and a feud. I think we think that an argument has to be presented as a feud, okay, which is a bitter, continuous hostility, especially between two families or clans, etc., two friends.
Yeah, like family feud.
Often lasting for many years or generations. It's a bitter quarrel or contention. Yes.
So, if we explain the feud, what's the argument?
If you explain a feud, you say what is an argument or what's the argument? What is an argument? Thank you. I'm glad you said that. So now go to your handout. Okay, at the top of your handout, you should be on the side that says, in short. You should be on the side that says in short. So these are going to be the notes that guide us through our our new unit. All right, so it says, in short, the prerequisite for adequate analysis of any question is the careful phrasing of a statement expressing the basis of the controversy. Okay, so at its basic level, we get into an argument because there's some type of a controversy. There's some type of a disagreement. Okay, and so that's why we enter into the realm of an argument, because there's some type of a disagreement. So it's saying the prerequisite, and prerequisite means any information that's supposed to come prior. Okay, the prerequisite for the adequate analysis. So adequate means for important, but adequate means kind of like for the most efficient. Okay, to do its the most justice with. Okay, proper. The prerequisite or all the information that's needed for adequate or proper analysis of any question is the careful phrasing of a statement expressing the basis of the controversy. So a lot of times when we're having an argument or a feud, I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes people aren't even talking about the same exact things. And then when you get to the root of it, it's like, wait a minute, that's how I feel. And then you're like noticing that you're either on the same playing field with the person you're supposedly arguing with, or y'all talking about two totally different things. And so there's really no way to argue that because you're talking about two totally different things. So in argumentation, we call such a statement a proposition. So you have to have a proposition or a guiding statement to carry the argument. What is the basis of this conversation? What are we really arguing about here? Okay? So a proposition is the formal statement. God bless you.
Bless you.
A proposition is the formal statement of the topic to be debated. Okay? So you have to have a topic on the line that everyone knows is clear in the discussion at hand. Argumentation is what? Yeah, I wanted someone to read it other than Asia because she's been reading the majority of the things around here. Gaia, can you read? Oh, you wanted to read it, Deshaun? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna ask you to kind of sit up and get a little bit louder.
Study principles by which belief and action are elevated and related to one another. It is language-based and concerned with the selection and organization of ideas to justify particular position.
Okay, thank you. So it's the study of the principles. Okay, so we have certain principles that we've been raised on. Okay, and it's the study of those principles by which those beliefs and actions are evaluated. Okay, so we have certain principles that we've been raised on, and those principles guide our beliefs and our actions. And that's why we may get into a disagreement, because based on your beliefs, your actions might tell you that something is right or that something is wrong, and someone might disagree with that. So if I say that Jesus is real, someone else's beliefs might say, no, Jesus is not real, and based on my principles in life, I disagree with that. Okay, and so then we would enter probably into the realms of an argument once we establish what our actual controversy is. It is language-based and is concerned with the selection and organization of ideas to justify a particular position. Okay, so when we get into an argument, it don't say anything about the fact that we have to be hostile. Okay, it doesn't say anything that we have to be bitter. Okay, it doesn't say anything that we have to have a bitter quarrel. Okay, what it says is that we come to the table with our beliefs, which are guided by principles. Okay, we have certain principles, and those guide our beliefs, and we have to have some type of an even playing field or a question that leads both parties. Okay, and that's what it says. And so what we're using is language. That's why it says it's language-based. What we're using is language to guide us into justifying our position. Okay, notice the word position and proposition on there. Where it says proposition, notice position in there. Okay, so we're using our language in order to convince and justify why this person should take. And if we've been raised a certain way and someone else has been raised a different way, then that's how we clash in our understanding of a certain issue or situation. And sometimes it can be solved. Sometimes it can be solved if you're able to convince the other party that the way that you think and the way that you were raised and your beliefs are more prevalent than theirs. But if you can't get them to take your beliefs instead of their own beliefs, then if you can't manage to do that, then you have to agree to. Has anyone ever heard of agree to disagree? Agree to disagree. Okay. If you can't convince someone,
you just agreeing with what you read on.
No, you're agreeing to disagree. It's like if me and you are talking about who's the greatest basketball player of all time, and you say it's Steph Curry, someone else says it's LeBron James, someone else says it's Kobe, and I say it's Michael Jordan, and we constantly going at each other about the different stats and the different talents that each of these players have, and the longevity and the different championships that were won. And at the end of the day, we still hold true to what we came to the table with. Like, no, it's Mike. I heard what you said, but it's Mike. Then we just have to agree to disagree. You weren't able to persuade or convince me otherwise. Okay? So, and we evaluate whether or not those beliefs and actions are able to convince us to take a different side. Okay, so here are some different instances. Here are some different instances that we would use an argument in. So, in our courts of criminal law, the presumption of innocence, and we're going to look at presumption, which is right below the 4 standards which should be followed when phrasing a proposition. In our courts of criminal law, the presumption of innocence is institutionalized. In the United States, if you are arrested and accused of a crime, the court system will assume that you are not what? Guilty, until the police and the prosecution prove otherwise. So you are innocent until proven guilty. Militia, sit up. So in our court system, you are innocent until proven guilty. And so what happens in the actual courtroom is that people are getting involved in an argument. Okay, that's why you have lawyers there. You have lawyers who, they have studied this case that has been brought upon this person, and they're here to defend this person. And they're here to show the innocence of this person so that this person can return back to their normal status. Okay? So let's look at presumption real quick. No, you already have it. It's on your sheet. Yeah. So look at presumption real quick. Okay? So when you come to the table, you have someone who believes a certain type of way, and then you have someone who's trying to change your beliefs. Okay? It's really what's called the affirmative, and then you have the negative. The negative is the person who is believing a certain thing, and the affirmative is trying to change the negative's way of thinking. Okay? That's just the two names for it, affirmative and negative. So the affirmative is trying to change the negative's way of thinking. So this is what the negatives have on their side. They have presumption on their side. It describes the inherent advantage in opposing change. Okay? This concept recognizes that in every argumentative situation, the person who is advocating change, the affirmative, will lose if nothing is done. So if the affirmative cannot convince the negative to take their way of thinking, then the affirmative loses, and the negative gets to continue thinking the same old way that they were thinking in the first place. Okay? Because they have presumption on their side, which says it's the advantage, which says that the person who is advocating change will lose if nothing is done. Okay? So let's do a different instance. Presumption also exists in all of our policy-making bodies. So although the procedures and bylaws of most policy agencies do not use the term presumption, their voting procedures, in effect, establish such a concept. Okay, so failure to achieve a majority vote in favor of any proposed change maintains the status quo. So the status quo is the way that things already are, is the way that you already think. That's what you call status quo, and we'll look at that a little further later. So whenever you have, our government who's trying to get certain things to become a law, they have to persuade the rest of the legislative body that this is worth becoming a law. So in Congress, this is what they do all day long. They're called lawmakers, and they convince each other that this should become a law. Probably because somebody, one of us, said that this is a problem. So bring this up in Congress so that we can get this to become a law. And so what they do is they get involved in an argument. And in that argument, they're trying to persuade all the other congressional people, that this should become a law. So again, we use argumentation in the courtroom, and we use it also in our government. Here's another one. The scientific community also recognizes the advantage of existing beliefs. When a new theory is proposed, presumption is against, so presumption, the way that things already are, presumption is against is acceptance. So whenever we hear scientists come out with some new information, we're kind of on edge on accepting that new information because we're used to the way that things already work. So how many people were taught back in elementary school that there are 9 planets? How many people were taught in elementary school that there are 9 planets? How many people have heard something differently ever since then? Okay, we've heard that there are 8 planets, right? Yeah, they said that I think Pluto is not, is it Pluto?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that Pluto is no longer a planet. So then when you're brought up with that type of information in science, and they say this is a scientific fact, our solar system has 9 planets in it. And then they come back 10 years later and they say, oh, we're wrong. Our solar system only has 8 planets in it. You're like, oh, hold on. Oh, wait, you just told me that we got 9 planets 10 years ago. Now it changes. So really, we still want to hold true that there are 9 planets, and you have to convince us that this star is not a planet any longer. Okay, so they have to prove to us through convincing us in an argument without all the So it doesn't have to involve all of that. They're just trying to convince us through evidence and reasoning that this actually exists. Okay, and the last one, even in our private lives, presumption operates. Put that away. You may wish to get married eventually. Hopefully you don't want to get married right now. You may wish to get married, or you may enjoy the company of the person you are currently dating. You may, nevertheless, remain unmarried because you are not convinced that this is the person with whom you want to spend the rest of your life with. Okay? So, a lot of times we get into relationships with people. I could have sworn I heard something. Anyhow, a lot of times we get into relationships with people, and those people have expectations for the relationship that we don't have for the relationship. Okay? I know, for instance, my sister, hopefully she never sees this video, but she's married now to her husband. Her husband is one of my best friends. It's like a brother to me. But they were dating since like 2003, and then they didn't get married until 2009. So for 6 years, she's like, and he's like, yeah, I'm taking all this time because I need to make sure that you're the one. You haven't convinced me quite yet. Okay, and then once he married her, he was like, I don't believe in divorce. So I've taken that much time to prove that you are the one. So if we get a divorce, it's on you. But don't try to come crawling back afterwards, because once it's over, it's over. So even in our personal lives, we have some convincing to do with reasoning and evidence. Okay, so let's just jump back into it. So we know that this is our new unit, argumentation and persuasion. And I want someone this time, so yesterday we asked for the connotation. Did you start? Okay. So yesterday we asked for the connotation of an argument or argumentation. And we said that things that come to mind that we associate with argumentation are yelling. We associate anger and fighting and really just acting an all-out fool, just acting a nut. And we watched a clip from The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and we said that that does relate to our definition of what society says that argumentation is. Okay, but then we looked at our notes here and we noticed that argumentation doesn't have any of those qualities. It doesn't have the qualities of hostility or anger or yelling or acting a fool. It doesn't have any of those qualities. And so we said that those qualities are indicative of what? What did we say the term was? A feud. Okay? So we looked up a feud on let's see, dictionary.com. And it gave us all of those qualities within its definition. It gave us hostility, it gave us bitterness, okay, a contention, a quarrel. It gave us all those things that we normally associate with an argument. So now let's actually look up dictionary.com's definition of an argument. But before we go there, I want someone, since we've been discussing it, I want someone to give me what they think the denotative or the dictionary definition of an argument is, without looking at your notes. What do you think or what do you remember or recall the actual denotative definition of an argument to be?
Why are you trying to say that you know the definition of feud?
Pardon?
I said, I'm trying to say that you know the definition of feud.
Say it one more time. Are you asking me a question?
Yes, I said you trying to let us know that you know the definition of feud.
No, we're past that. I was asking who can give me their what they think is the dictionary definition or the denotative definition of argument, of an argument. Asian.
A disagreement between two people or somebody who's trying to persuade someone.
Nice. A disagreement between two people when someone is trying to persuade. Okay. Let's get another one. What do you think the dictionary is going to say an argument is? Okay. Right now is not the time for people to be staring off into space. It's not the time for people to be daydreaming right now. We need to be thinking. Thinking, not twiddling our thumbs. What do we think? Come on, this is the time that we take a chance. Take a chance and just, it's okay if you're wrong, take a chance. What do we think the denotative definition of an argument is? Is it okay?
A conversation or like a debate that you have with another person.
Okay, a conversation like a debate that you would have with another person. Okay? Anyone else? All right, let's go to it. So, to argue. All right, to argue. All right, what does it say to argue? What does it mean to argue?
To present reasons for or against the thing.
Okay, to present reasons for or against a thing. Wait, say it one more time.
Persuasion.
Right. Okay. Give me the second definition.
To contend in an oral disagreement.
Okay, to contend an oral disagreement, dispute. Okay, let's go even further. The third one.
To state a reason for or against.
Okay, to state the reasons for or against. The next one. And then the final one, if you can see it in the back. To persuade. Okay? So notice how in a lot of them we see reasoning. Okay? We see reasoning. So we should know by now that we have to utilize a certain type of presentation called reasoning in order to structure our argument. Okay? So whenever we're delivering an argument, whenever we enter the realm of argumentation, we're using something called reasoning in order to get our point across. And remember, the main goal is to try to convince the other party that what we're saying is more prevalent than their current way of thinking or the status quo. Okay? So, and that's why our new unit is called argumentation and persuasion, because you're trying to persuade them. So just like if you get telemarketer, okay, you don't really get too many telemarketers now calling on the cell phone, but if you go to your grandmother's house and she has a landline phone, a lot of times you'll get a call and it's just a telemarketer trying to sell you something. They're trying to persuade you through reasoning that their product is worth them receiving your money for. Okay, and so this is what we're going to study, but doesn't say anything about hostility. No, doesn't say anything about yelling. Doesn't say anything about bitterness. Doesn't say anything about a feud. Okay, so notice how our connotation of an argument was really different from what the actual denotative definition of an argument was. And what we usually seem to understand an argument to be is a feud. So you can enter into the realm of argumentation and debate, like Zacchaeus said, without it having to go all, it don't have to get into a fight. It don't have to get all crazy and stuff. It can honestly be a very professional back and forth where you're utilizing that. And we went over some of those examples yesterday. Where did we say you would utilize argumentation? I forgot. Where did we say you would utilize argumentation? I gave 4 specific examples of where we said we would utilize argumentation.
When you said discussing who's the best player in the game.
Okay, so that would be considered probably just a regular conversation. We would use argumentation for. Okay, and details it up. I said also that we use it where? I named 4 specific ones that I read from my book. I gave you 4 instances. What were those 4 instances?
We sleepy today.
Okay, let me report back and let me jog your memory. Again, very briefly. Remember I said in our courts of criminal law? Okay. So in our courts of criminal law, the presumption of innocence is institutionalized. In the United States, if you are arrested and accused of a crime, the court system will assume that you are not guilty until the police and prosecution prove otherwise. So in the actual court system, they have to actually get engaged in argumentation to prove the innocence of someone. I named another place. Does anyone remember the other place? Okay, I said presumption also exists. Remember presumption, what did we say presumption was? It's not a lot of people's day today. I usually get a lot more participation. I don't know if because we have visitors. Yes, ma'am.
So are we asking in what instances argumentation is used or presumption is used?
Both, basically. Yeah, so it's argumentation, but it's always utilizing presumption. Yes.
I think you know something that you don't know. Thinking this is what this thing is, but you don't know what something is.
Yeah, but I'm looking for. Remember, I said there's 3 different fields in our life. 3 different fields in our life. 3 different bodies or institutions that actually utilize argumentation in a formal way. Okay, so remember. So the second one, I'll provide you with it again. Remember, we said in the government. Remember, we said our policy-making bodies in our government, the legislature, they come together in order to argue about what should be a law and what should not be a law. Okay? Who remembers me saying that yesterday? But by show of hands. Who remembers me saying that yesterday by show of hands? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, few people. Okay, so let's go over that again. So, presumption, let's go to our sheets. Presumption describes the inherent advantage in opposing change. Okay, presumption is utilized in argumentation because presumption lies on the side of the way things automatically are. You said, is it a quote? Is it a quote? Status quo, thank you. Someone who's paying attention yesterday, you can recall. Yeah, it's the status quo. So the status quo is the way that things are, the way things already are. And when you want to bring about change, I said that's the affirmative side. Okay, so that's what I want you to first of all write on the back of your answer ticket. Just take a few notes, put affirmative. Yeah, you can put it on the back. Affirmative. Okay, put affirmative equals change. Affirmative equals change. I'm just writing it up here, just so I don't have to go to Microsoft Word. Okay, affirmative equals change. Okay, so when you're coming to someone and you're trying to change their way of thinking, and you're entering the realm of argumentation, you are the affirmative. Okay, when you are coming to someone, when someone is coming to you and they're trying to change your way of thinking, you have presumption on your side, because even when you enter into the realms of argumentation, they're trying to change the way that you already think. They're trying to change the status quo. So remember, I went back to, I said, I used this example. The scientific community also recognizes the advantage of existing beliefs. And what was the example I gave about the scientific community?
Oh, they argue about believing in the Bible or something like that?
Well, I gave that as an example before, but I said something about the lunar, the planets. Right, what did I say about that? What was a common belief I said we were taught in elementary school? That there were 9 planets. Okay, so we were taught that there were 9, thank you. So we were taught that there were 9 planets in elementary school, but because science has changed, we've recently heard that there are 8 planets. So the scientific community has to present that argument to us, and they have to try to convince us through reasoning and evidence that this is actually true. Because right now, our presumption says that there's 9 planets because that's what we were raised to think. Okay, so presumption lies on our side because we've been taught this and it's widely accepted. Okay, so I want to, and I also gave you an instance of how we use this informally. I said we use this in our everyday lives. Gaye gave the example of the basketball argument that we had. So if I say that Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time, that's the status quo, because that's really what we've been programmed to think. But if you come to the table with someone new like Steph Curry, or you come to the table with Kobe, or you come with LeBron James, you're going to have to really prove to the majority of the world that those people are better than Michael Jordan through stats, through talent, and through championships. You have to come and use reasoning with that evidence. Okay, so we use this in our everyday lives also, and I also gave the example of if you're in a relationship and you're not convinced that you want to be with this person for the rest of your life, you go through a reasoning process of, do I want to marry this person or don't I? Okay, so this is how we use it formally and informally. So I want to show you a video that gives you a comedic side to how argumentation is used in the formal sense. Okay, so this is a comedy skit. It's a parody of The People's Court. So this is to give you an example of argumentation in the court system, but with a little comedy behind it.
She claims the defendant threw grass and leaves onto her property because she was too lazy to bag it herself. She's suing for $10,000. Now entering the courtroom is the defendant, Eleanor Sork. She claims she raked the leaves into a pile and then blew them into the plaintiff's yard. This is the case of loveism and piles of leaves.
All rise. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Million presiding.
Please be seated. You've been sworn in and I've read your complaints. Miss Criddle, you claim that the defendant purposely left leaves on your lawn.
Yes, Your Honor, but she,
Hold on. Miss Sorg, did you do this?
It happened one time, Your Honor. I raked the leaves into a pile, and the wind blew them into her yard. So I went over there, I raked the leaves, and I apologized. But that wasn't good enough for her. So she called social services and lied about me abusing my children. And they came and took them away.
Wait, what? Miss Criddle, is this true? Did you call social services and lie about her abusing her children?
yes, I did, Your Honor, but she threw grass in my yard.
No. Hold on, all right? You admit you lied to social services.
Yes, Your Honor, but those leaves went all over.
No, I want you to forget about the leaves, all right? Her children were taken from her.
Yes, I know that, but there were a lot of leaves.
You know what, Miss Criddle? You are a horrible person. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. But I have allergies, and those leaves came out like that.
You ain't spitting. You ain't spitting. I don't think I've ever had a person in this courtroom who is as horrible as you. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Those leaves killed my grass.
No. Stop. Now, here's what I want you to say. Now,
okay, but she called my...
No. Don't interrupt me. I want you to say these words. Repeat after me.
Okay, but was she...
No. Repeat after me. I am,
but Your Honor, she threw them leaves.
No. Always say what I'm saying. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, but her boy told me...
Miss Criddle, I want you to say, I am an evil person. Say it right now.
I am an evil person. But she and her husband...
I'm throwing your case out and I'm giving the defendant $10,000.
Okay, Your Honor, but the leaves... I'm
sorry, Miss Sorg, there's nothing more I can do. I can't give you any more.
But I'm telling you, them leaves blew on my lawn.
The judge came down on you pretty hard in there. The judge said you were an evil person. Do you think you're an evil person?
Yes, I do. I made it through them leaves in my lawn like that.
All right, well, we have some documents for you to sign down the hall.
And so the judge ruled in favor of the defendant, even going so far as awarding her $10,000. Do you think that's fair, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the let's see the end of it. Okay, so what did we notice from the video? What was the argument there? Okay, the argument was that it was wrong for the leaves to be on her lawn. Okay, that's what she was suing for. She was suing for the fact that there were leaves that were thrown on her lawn. Miss Criddle, who is the plaintiff. And the plaintiff and court system is the one who's bringing the lawsuit up. And then you have the defendant, and they're the ones who have to be defended because the lawsuit is against them. So who do you think, which side do you think presumption lies on? Do you think presumption lies with the plaintiff or with the person who needs to be defended? Huh? Zakir?
The defendant.
The defendant? Who says the defendant? Okay. Can anyone kind of go a little further on why they think it's the defendant? Question? Presumption. So, is this in your phone? So on our notes, we went over the definition of presumption at the bottom here, and we said that basically you come to the table with your normal way of thinking. It's really the commonly held belief, and it is opposite of what the affirmative is trying to do. The affirmative is trying to change that belief or that policy or that structure. So it's basically the status quo. Okay, so can anyone go a little bit further on what why they think the presumption lies on the side of the defendant? Right.
Because like the defendant can argue a little more to prove to the court that they're not guilty of whatever it is.
Okay, I like that, but I think it's a little backwards. Okay, I think it's a little backwards. Can anyone correct that for him? He said because the defendant has to argue a little bit more to prove that they're not guilty. What? Okay. So it's yes.
I think you're trying to say the defendant is trying to prove within the argument that they're not guilty.
That they're not guilty. Okay. But who was doing? Good morning. Who was doing the majority of the talking and the reasoning and the arguing? The plaintiff. Okay, so just to correct that a little bit, really the plaintiff, remember everyone in the court system is innocent until proven guilty. So you have to prove that these accusations are true against this person. And if you can prove through reasoning that these accusations are true, then the affirmative wins. But if you can't prove that this change should be upheld, then you lose. So lastly, what were some of the reasons that she said it was bad for the leaves to be on her lawn? Her allergies. It killed her grass, right. So she went through a reasoning process, and these were the reasons that she tried to bring up with the judge on why this person should be guilty and sued and charged money. Okay? So what I want you to do is, on number 2 of the exit ticket, I want you, without looking at, okay, first of all, put up your notes. Put up your notes. Stuff your notes inside your folder. For the people who took the notes out. Stuff the notes inside your folder. Okay, and what I want you to do is to take a few minutes, and I want you to first of all give me what you think is the dictionary or denotative definition of an argument is. Okay, then I want you to, so listen closely, there's a couple of things to this. Give me what you think the dictionary definition of an argument is. Then I want you to do a contrast and tell me what an argument is not, based on what we've described and discussed and defined. Okay? Tell me what an argument is, tell me what it is not. And then I want you to give me one formal instance. Don't say the court systems because we already saw that. One other formal instance that we've discussed that you would use an argument for, and then one informal instance in our lives that we would use argumentation for. So again, let's go over those 3. The dictionary definition, as far as you remember it to be, of argumentation. Number 2, give me what argumentation is not. Give me a contrast. Tell me what argumentation is not, as we discussed it. Lastly, give me a formal, and I'm going to explain this as I see you work, and I'll repeat it. Give me a formal example of an area in life where we, DeAndre, sit up. Thank you. Give me a formal example of where we use argumentation in life, and an informal one, where we use it in life. Okay, and then we'll go on to number 3 after you do that. I'm gonna give you approximately, it's about 8:47. I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. I don't think you'll need that long though, but I'm gonna say 10 minutes.
I'm not sure I understand.
It's because I wasn't talking to you. All right, get started. Okay, so you should be on page 436. And essentially what we're talking about is an opinion statement. So at the top, can I have someone to learn what it is? 436. Learn what it is. Ayana, can you read for me? Aljade, can you read for us? Or Ayana, doesn't matter. Or, okay, Aljade.
Have you ever felt that a rule or a situation was unfair? The issue moved you to express an opinion. Maybe you just share your feelings with a friend. Another way to make sure your voice is heard, though, is through an opinion statement. A written statement is what you express a point of view and back it up with reasons and facts. And in fact, the opinion statement can actually influence how your readers feel about an issue.
Okay, so let's go ahead and write that down where it says an opinion statement at the top. Thank you for reading that. It says a written statement in which you express a point of view and back it up with reasons and facts. Yes, yep, write down an opinion statement, and it's a written statement in which you express a point of view and back it up with reasons and facts. So it says, have you ever felt that a rule or a situation was unfair? Did the issue move you to express an opinion? Maybe you just share your feelings with a friend. Another way to make sure your voice is heard, though, is through an opinion statement. Okay, so we engage in opinion statements more often than we probably may know. Okay, we have conversations with our peers, my peers, your peers, all the time where we're expressing just our opinion about how we feel on a certain situation. So now we're going to look over the example of the model essay. Okay, so it says, write each question. Y'all have to be standing right behind the door. When you have,
got big forehead, you was about to meet that.
we definitely know that. That's a fact. No.
He tried to get in the hallway.
He tried to.
Yeah.
He's not good. Next time you gotta succeed. So let's go through the actual essay. So on page 437 it says, see how it's done. Here's an opinion statement in action. So this, we don't know if this is a real girl or not, but Laurel Estra, this is her student model from Evanston Township High School. And she entitled it, Why I Need a Later Curfew. Why I Need a Later Curfew. So you should be reading along silently as I am reading aloud. You should be reading along silently as I am reading aloud. Not right now. Let's read over the essay. Dear Mom and Dad, now that I'm in high school and my friends are staying out later, I feel very strongly that my curfew should be extended to 1 o'clock a.m. I know that we've talked about this before, but please, take a minute to consider my reasons again. On weekdays, I spend 12 hours, almost half of every day, at school because before and after school, sports. My only free time is on the weekends, and Saturday and Sunday are barely enough time to relax before the next school week begins. Since I can ask you to change the length of the weekend, I'm asking you to rethink my curfew. It seems to me that the only reason my curfew is at 11:30 is because you don't want to have to drive me home or be awake any later than that. I appreciate those reasons, but consider how the whole scenario has changed now that my friends can drive me home. You argue that the streets get dangerous late at night because there are not as many cars around. But I see the lack of cars as an advantage. Since there's so much less congestion late at night, it should be much easier to avoid accidents then. I do realize that it's very difficult for you to sleep when I'm out late, but you need to trust that I'll be home when I say I will be, and give me the chance to prove it. Another objection you've had to an extended curfew is that I don't get enough sleep. Although it's true that I need more sleep than I'm getting, I feel that I'm mature and responsible enough to at least decide my own sleeping schedule. I'm a happy and healthy kid who just wants to live her life. And remember, at 1 o'clock, a 1 o'clock a.m. curfew means that's the latest I can come home. It doesn't mean that I'll never be home earlier. But don't forget the law, your voices warn me. I know that the law forbids me to be out past midnight because I'm under 17. However, the police crack down on kids who are out walking around, and they don't usually bother those who are driving and on their way home. You know I wouldn't just cruise around until 1 a.m. I guarantee that I will be off the streets and at a friend's house by midnight, and then come home by 1 o'clock. Since the police seem to accept this situation, I think you should too. Teachers say that high school is all about preparing kids for college, though they mean it strictly academically. It also applies socially. I think that kids need to learn to handle freedom before going off on their own. One way they can get this experience is by scheduling their own time. You already know that I'm a fairly responsible kid, and you need to trust me and act sensibly and honor my curfew. Otherwise, we can never be totally close and honest with each other. You're truly wonderful parents, and I hope you consider my arguments and agree to extend my curfew. Your loving daughter, Laurel. Okay, so I read through that. Now it's your turn to go back through it and answer the questions on the board. You may want to take into consideration the rubric and action that's on the right-hand side of the page. So this is your S ticket. So if you cannot see, you might want to move to the center. Make sure that you reread the essay on your own though, and yeah. You gotta write the question. For the third time, yes, you have to write the question. Write the question, write the question. Make sure your correct heading is at the top of your paper, and put this on the same page as your notes. And the first question for you is, in one word, what is the topic of Laurel's opinion statement? Then the second question is, where does she stand on the issue? How does she feel about it? The third question says, what does she state in the second paragraph as being her reason for bringing about change? Number 4 says, list 3 objections that her parents have with her proposed change. Number 5 says, what is one fact about her life that Laurel uses to prove her point? And what makes it a fact? So that's throughout the whole essay. What is one fact that she uses? Pick out one fact throughout the whole thing. And number 6 says, if you were Laurel's parents, would you